Holy wow. Kick ass, man. Really running.
Good morning, it's Sunday, Bonneville 2020. We're out here again with the same car that I had access to last year. I built another engine for it, so we've got a 3.2 full of Brian Crowder parts and some JE Ultra pistons. It's got a Precision 8685 and a host of AEM electronics. We're going to be running on an attempt to go over 245 miles an hour, over the course of a mile. So you have to maintain that speed over the course of a mile. The car's been about that fast before or faster with a different displacement. So now it's a 3.2, so it's a little bit different class. But the salt's in good shape, the weather is beautiful. It's a pretty awesome deal. So hopefully today goes well and I get to go fast. Last year it was so mushy. We just finished the driver's meeting and we're gonna drive down the course. So this is the long course, and it's much different than drag racing in the sense that after someone else really buckles you into the car, a truck pushes you off. So you're not really in control of the start, like it's just time to go. And then you'll follow this blue line. This is the center of the course, and you'll follow that down. And as you make your way down the course, I would say about here, we're about a quarter mile from the starting line. The turbo will start to spool and make boost, and then you've just got to mitigate mitigate traction the best you can, because it's not like a road, it's salt. And the tires are smooth, so you're feathering the throttle. If the surface is good, you can really have it wide open for a long period of time. And it's pretty hard to explain the scale of this place, but it's huge. It's a massive, just flat surface. And they say that there's some bumps after the 3 mile, so we're just gonna go check those bumps out. And if anything else, it'll help us later in the event, because as more cars drive through that area, the bumps may get worse. And the bumps will obviously destabilize traction. So hopefully by that, past the 3 mile, we'll be carrying enough speed that we won't be really arguing for traction anymore. But, in the time that I'm talking, we're just approaching the 1 mile. So given it's a 5 mile course, it's a pretty long drive. But you just keep your eye out for these markers and make sure that you're staying in the course. If you leave the course, the surface is not as prepped. I mean, they've drug this surface over the course of weeks to get it to where it's pretty smooth and pretty packed. And then when you get out of here, it's just these crunchy, just chunks of salt and whatnot. And it's like marbles, like you would experience on a drag strip. If you get out of the lane, close to the guardrail, close to the center line, that's what they call the marbles. So that's the same thing applies here. So you want to kind of stay on course and do your best to keep an eye on the line. And if the car drifts, you just slowly bend it back into shape as needed to stay on course. But yeah, it's pretty wild.
Holy sh**. Impound, here we come.
Pull the parachute. Stop it right now. 249.
Oh, man.
Jesus.
260. 260.
Holy
The tune-up worked, I guess, huh?
I'm thinking. Holy shit, I hope it's alive.
Oh.
It wasn't supposed to go that fast.
It was moving. It had a pretty decent.
It
Had a pretty decent bobble out there. I thought it was gonna come around.
It went. Some went 42 and 3.
Rolling.
It was rolling.
Man,
Yeah. We were watching you. We just watched
I looked at the speedometer go past 250,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right. And then it was almost 260, and I said, all right. And then it said 263 or 264, and I thought, what are you doing?
Well, they didn't give us this. The exit was like.
You don't have a lot of
63 or
ammunition to tell your kids not to do dumb stuff if you're doing dumb stuff like this. So Luis, it was rolling pretty good, and it was going and indicated over 260 for a while, and then I smelled oil and I thought, okay, it just blew up. And I was looking for a mile marker because if I don't keep that speed through the marker, it doesn't matter anyway, right? So it was probably 5 or 6 seconds after my nose caught the smell that there was trouble before I could pass the mile marker, and I lifted off the throttle. But man, the force of the chute coming out, and just what a wild experience.
You did.
Great job.
Everything.
That was the fastest that car's ever been.
You know what? Maybe the rings.
My 60 was out the back door, so that was the middle mile. 60.
So let's clean it. We'll look at pan back. We'll look at spark plugs. And then we'll say a bunch of
trailer.
prayers.
Yeah.
So it's Monday and we just made our first run. It was real fast. It went 260 and the dash indicated over 260 for a bit. As I was slowing down, I moved the throttle around a little bit and looked at the pages on the dash, and it doesn't have a dead cylinder. So hopefully I didn't blow it up in the process, because if I don't back that run up with a speed over the old record, then you know, I went fast, but I don't get to go home with my red hat. So maybe it takes 10 years to get a red hat. Maybe I get it this week, but it's a totally awesome experience. Thanks so much for supporting me in this stuff, guys. So if you run on a record and you qualify to take that record home with you, after your record run or qualifying run, you come back into the impound. You have 4 hours to work on the car, and then you'll run your backup run first thing in the morning. At 213 miles an hour at one point, the rear tires were going 242. I thought it was going to spin. That was pretty wild. 9.5 degrees of timing, 380 kPa, a whole lot of 0.73 lambda. I'll put the pan pressure on. That's the telltale. Yeah, it's not good. From the time it went into high gear, and it was really cooking, so like from 220 miles an hour up, and I was going 220 miles an hour, and it had 48 kPa of pan pressure, but by the end of that run, by the end of that time in high gear at speed, it had creeped up to 91 kPa, so it was barely pulling any pan back. So that's definitely not a good sign. The oil pressure and stuff is stable, but it may have burned up right there. Oh, let's pull plugs. That'll be a telltale. Let's compression test it. That'll be cool. Now there, I think 2 was a little low, but
I mean, what's a little? 10 PSI.
yeah.
That's not percent.
Right.
I'm raising up there.
Good morning, it's Tuesday. Yesterday we ran faster than the existing record for the displacement and class of the car in order to kind of accomplish the goal and get the 200 mile per hour club. You have to set a new record and then you get the red hat. So we ran 260 yesterday through the 4 mile, and we need to go faster than I believe it's 236 is the existing mile set or the existing record set in 1996. So we're gonna head over to the car, warm the oil up, tow it to the lane. Sun should be up by then, and we'll go ahead and make a run.
Maybe it was a song in my head. It was 69 Boys for some reason. It's the wrong song. Yesterday was Reeling in the Years. That was much more suitable for this.
Yeah, when I heard that 186 in the 2, I thought, ooh.
So maybe it just chunked that cylinder.
It was making some power.
It went from getting it pretty good
Yeah.
and being pretty happy about it, and then once it was wide open and it was going the max speed it would go, the heat got to it.
Yeah.
That's really all there is to it. The intercooler ran out of ice. The
Water was getting hot.
Right, it's just the heat got to it. That's what kills engines.
Yeah.
It's just sustained heat.
Oh,
So it's Tuesday afternoon. We tried to run the car again this morning and it was nosing over. It was just right in the knock control. So we came back to the trailer and went and found a borescope and put a borescope in the cylinders. In number 6, you can see a vertical drag mark where the piston's overheated and it started to basically scrub the piston up and down the bore. So the top of the piston's intact, but the piston's been overheated, and if you continue to run it, it's just going to get worse. So we lied to ourselves a little bit about it being okay, and then we came to terms with the fact that if we continue to run the engine, it's just going to get damaged more, and then it's going to cost more money to fix. So we've called it for the week, and we're going to possibly come back and try again in October. Morning, September 29th, 2020. We're back out at the Bonneville Salt Flats. This is the World Finals event. This event has a historically low probability of happening because it generally rains by now. But the salt is super dry. It's pretty cold out. It's in the 40s. So that should be really great conditions for going fast. And the guys that work on the car, the White Goose Bar guys, have hustled. They've got the car all back together, so it's kind of a last minute trip to come out here and run the car again. So today we're gonna try to qualify on that record that we're running on, and if with any luck we'll back it up tomorrow morning. What I'm about to do is put this suit on because it's cold out here, and then I'm gonna get in that car and try not to do anything stupid. It feels weird to just show up and run the car. Hopefully I don't chicken out. I'm gonna have to just channel my energy up. We're gonna run the car to the 4 mile, and I guess maybe the funnest thought throughout this process is engine break-in, because we have an engine that's been idled around, and now we're just gonna wide open for 4 miles. So maybe not the kindest approach, but we'll see how it goes. But they changed the gear in the car, and as long as it has enough horsepower to pull the car up, it should be pretty fast. And the salt, the salt's really hard right now. You can see where people have done burnouts on it, and it hasn't even dug into the salt, which is a tremendous departure from when I came here last year, and it was just a mush pit because it's so wet. So traction should not be much of an issue at all. It should be even more stuck than it was when we were out here for Speed Week. So it'll be pretty cool. blasted the windshield with oil and I couldn't really see where I was going. And then I waited for the 4. I had the shootout probably 400 feet before the 4.
Yeah, I saw that. We got a fire. Well, don't spray yet.
Why not, Jay? Let's get the steering.
We just made our first run of World Finals 2020. It went 258 through the 4. It did manage to puke oil out of it about 3.5, and I couldn't really see where I was going because the windscreen was covered in oil. So we got to figure out if that thing just burned up or if it's just leaking air through the crankcase and the dry sump will carry oil out that way. So we're gonna go look at the data log. The pan back will be the telltale, and then we'll make a decision on cleaning up. But right now we need to head to Impound and put the car in the impound area because we qualified on our record well enough that if we can make a backup run, then it'll kind of be mission accomplished. But much different ride than in August. Much more just awareness of my placement on the course, awareness of the traction. Like it seemed like even over before when we ran it, it was really hairy up to around 220 and then it smoothed out. This run, it was pretty manageable. Like I was able to get to the very top of first gear before I put it in second, and the traction was pretty manageable. But then once it was over 250 miles an hour, I was riding pretty close to the center line of the course, and it was pretty lively. It was bouncing around and whatnot, which is weird to think about going that fast and not really having great control. But I guess that's why we do this stuff.
Pan pressure is beautiful. We're pulling 54 kPa at the end of the run.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
That's very
so
cool.
that means we have a leak. We didn't blow it out. We're
Yeah, it's
leaking
sucking it through.
That's good.
Good morning, it's Wednesday. The car's at Impound, and we're gonna make our way to the starting line. They're gonna run our runs at 8 a.m. And if we can duplicate the run that we did yesterday, then I get to get my red hat, and this whole thing has just been a wild experience. The car did push oil out of it yesterday. We looked over the pan back and over the spark plugs and over everything, and the best that we can think is either the turbo line fitting has a coupler that was a little suspect, so we changed it. So then, and also where the oil was in regards to what was out of the catch can and stuff, it's still a little bit of a mystery. But the engine sounds healthy. We did adjust the oil tank level a little bit, but the breather itself wasn't really the suspect. So I don't really know how that's gonna go, but the salt is hard, the weather is fantastic, and we're gonna give it a shot.
Breeze Racing, Jay Meagher. 4 mile speed, 263.654.
That was really cool. It was going real fast by the 3, and the whole 4th mile was just like nirvana, because you have enough time to just process what's happening with the engine noise and the speed and the environment. That is an unreal experience. I mean, if you could take an MRI of my brain right now, it would probably be pretty lit up. Pretty lit up.
Kick ass, man. Oh my God.
President of the 200 Mile an Hour Club, Jay, it's my honor and privilege to welcome you to the world's fastest drivers club.
Right on.
Put this hat on. You can't take it off for a year.
A whole year?
A whole year.
What if my hair grows in?
You have to sleep in it.
Yeah.
Jay.
You have to shower in it.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations to everybody on the team.
Yeah, for sure. It's really awesome that you guys have let me do this. Yeah, super badass.
Thanks for
Appreciate the help.
The amount of history and the richness of this experience with, you know, the surface and the speed and the nature and the camaraderie, and you know the guys from the White Goose Bar allowing me to come out here and do this with them. It's been really a phenomenal experience, and if you have the opportunity to come out and see Bonneville, just to get an idea of what it's like, you'll probably get hooked, because it doesn't photograph well, but when you're in the car and it's sliding around and you're going that fast for that long, it's a very, very visceral experience. So it's badass. I can't wait to come back.